What is up, y'all? Welcome to Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast presented by Old City Sports Network. It is your host, Michael Roscoe, and welcome to episode 42 of the show. We got a great show for you tonight. If you missed episodes 40 and 41, though, those are still available on YouTube as well as the audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as well as check out oldcitysports.com for all of your favorite OCSN podcasts, including yours truly. Don't forget to follow the podcast and the network on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. All those social media tags will be ticking below at the bottom of the screen throughout the episode. And before we get into tonight's topics, you got to know I got to shout out that to our amazing sponsors. If you're looking for an amazingly delicious snack, then you better get yourself some jerky from none other than Righteous Felon Jerky. Head to www.righteousfelon.com and use the promo code OCSN, for 15% off the best jerky around. Any orders over $50 will receive free shipping. They got jerky. They got biltong. Honestly, I don't even know what that is, but they got it. They got treats for your dog and much more. They also got a Father's Day sale going on. If you're looking for something for the father figure in your life, make your purchases at www.righteousfelon.com today. Also, if you're looking to up your beard game and support a veteran-owned business, then get your beard care products from Warlord Beard Oil. For all your beard care needs, head to www.warlordbeardoil.com and use promo code OLDSPORTS in all caps for 15% off your beard oils, washes, soap, and so much more. Orders over $75 will also receive free shipping. As a family member of several veterans, I love any company that supports our veterans, so head on over to www.warlordbeardoil.com today for your personal care needs or for someone special in your life that you love. And finally, we got SeatGeek. Let's be real. Inflation has got us all in a bit of a crappy mood, but that shouldn't stop us from having fun and going to our favorite shows, concerts, venues, whatever you guys like. For tickets for your next concert, game, show, head on over to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your smartphone and use promo code Old City Sports Network, all one word, for $20 off of your purchase. All right, y'all. We got a new signing at the wide receiver position, an intriguing jersey number switch. Is Kenny Pickett actually outperforming Jalen Hurts, or is that all cap? And do the Eagles need to do something at the defensive tackle position? We're going to dive into all that and a lot more starting right now. All right, y'all. We're going to go into the main topics of the tonight for Eagles news and discussion, starting with Kylie versus Karen. So, first bit of news, this comes out of Margate City, New Jersey, where footage was leaked of a drunken fan berating Kylie and Jason Kelce on their way to a dinner date, which honestly was that chick's first mistake. Witnesses say on the way to the restaurant that a woman had confronted the Kelces as they were about to go into a restaurant for a date night. One of those witnesses claims that the woman was banging on the car window. Excuse me, because, that's a smart idea. And that other witnesses say, along with various reports who were talking about the story as well, said that Kylie initially was polite in declining the photo due to the fact that they were actively heading into a date night. And if I was a celebrity going in on a date night, really depending on the situation, I might feel the same way and decline a photo, especially if there's a huge crowd of people. But anyway, that woman didn't like that apparently, though. So she began to verbally berate the hell out of the Kelseys. Apparently, one quote from the drunken fan was, "I don't give a F word here, who you are. You will never be allowed in this town. You'll never be allowed in this town again." To which Kylie stood on business, clapping back with, "I can smell the alcohol on your breath. You're embarrassing yourself." Now, all this was seen in a short, roughly 8-second clip from the WTTW podcast. The Kelseys continued their date night without further altercation, as far as we know. Now, first off, way to go, Kylie, for standing on business. You were polite at first, and then when you were being verbally berated at by a drunk fan who you had no idea what that fan was capable of physically doing to you next, you stood on business and you held your ground and told that woman basically to go screw off. I loved how Jason was Jay chilling in the background. Like he was probably like, "That's my girl. I ain't got to do shit for that." Yeah, the Kelseys are basically America's couple at this point. And for all that they do in the community and all the charity organizations that they've been a part of, that lady really done goofed by getting in their face and definitely on their bad side. I would have been defensive as hell too if some random drunk person did that to me and my fiance on the way into a date night or any situation for that matter. Also, who does that chick think she is? "You're never allowed in this town again." Like, bitch, do you own the town? Is the town named after you? I don't think Margate is your first name, so I highly doubt that. The mayor of Margate City even came out and made a public apology on behalf of the city to the Kelseys for that drunk girl's actions. You know that you messed up when a whole ass city is against you. And to that fan, I put in quotations, who at this point shouldn't even be described as a fan. We don't claim her over here as Philly fans. So to that currently unidentified woman, just because someone's famous doesn't mean they're obligated to interact with you at all. Let the couple who has 4 kids have a date night out of the spotlight for once. You ruined their night and you made yourself look like an ass all over the internet. And that ain't going nowhere, especially anytime soon. There were multiple witnesses who saw the Kelseys doing nothing wrong and that chick just looking like a complete jackass. Because of that, the Kelseys also got a redo date night comped by the mayor of Margate City. So good on you, mayor, for that. And it's also kind of funny because Kylie is like towering over this drunk chick. Um, so if someone put a photo of that with like a clever caption on a t-shirt, I would definitely buy that in a heartbeat. All right, moving on to next topic. Oh, we got some comments. People are nuts, man. Yes, Jay, for sure. Yeah. I don't know what that woman was thinking at all, but bad move on her part. Bad move. Moving on to our next topic, we got the boss, John Ross himself, signing a 1-year deal in kind of a surprising move. For those unfamiliar with Ross, he was a first-round draft pick, I think 9th overall in the 2017 NFL draft after a literal record-breaking performance running the fastest 40-yard dash time in NFL history at 4.22 seconds. That was until Xavier Worthy broke it by 0.01 seconds this past year. Ross was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, where he played for about, I want to say 4 years or so, until he signed with the Giants in 2021. His best season came in 2018, where he played 13 games, making 21 catches for 210 yards and 7 touchdowns. If y'all do the math on that, that's basically 10 yards per catch, I think, and a touchdown every 3 catches. That's pretty insane. Between a series of injuries and underwhelming performances, Ross never really lived up to the first round expectations that were bestowed upon him. Now, in 2023, he did sign with the Kansas City Chiefs. However, he pulled a Devontae Parker too and announced his retirement from the team back in, I want to say January 2023. And back in November of that same year, he announced his comeback into the NFL. However, the Chiefs released him the same day because he was on the reserve retired list or something like that. But yeah, they dropped him. Now he's looking to bounce back and reinvent himself in the city of brotherly love. Now, even with the signing, according to the Eagles Wire's latest prediction post, they don't have Ross making the final roster, which is definitely a possibility. Just because you sign that 1 year does not guarantee that you are on the roster. If they had said like a money amount or a specific contract pricing, like during the initial posts, then I could see that being more likely you're able to, or that you will be on the team. But right now, the Eagles Wire currently has a 53-man roster prediction, with the wide receivers being A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Paris Campbell, Aniyah Smith, Johnny Wilson, and Britton Covey. If Ross has a chance to beat any one of those guys at this particular moment, I would imagine that person is Britton Covey. He's just, the sixth man in that roster series. Not a bad player by any means, because Covey's biggest strength and contribution to the team has been his returning game, which has been pretty impressive. And I'm going to go into the stats of some of that. Last season, he led the league in punt return yards with 417 and averaged about 14 and a half yards per return, which was the fifth best in the league amongst all punt returners. He tied for first in punt returns over 40 yards, with his longest being that 54-yarder that had me on the edge of my feet. I was like, go, 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 man. So that alone to me puts Covey above John Ross. Overall, I really love the idea of a comeback. We've seen it before. We've seen it be successful. I can't think of a particular example at this point right now, but I think in this particular situation, I'm just not sure that this would be the case for Ross, especially with the fact that we have a receiver who's got amazing return skills in Britton Covey. We drafted a dynamic playmaker in Aniyah Smith. We also drafted a 6'7" giant ass receiver in Johnny Wilson. And Paris Campbell's been having great OTAs so far. And obviously, we're not dropping Brown or Smith at any point with their large contracts and amazing athletic abilities. We're just not doing that. So I don't see Ross making the final 53. Now, making the practice squad? Absolutely. I think he would be a solid practice squad guy who, if needed to be called up, could get the job done. I think if he's going to have a comeback, starting off on a practice squad is going to be like that start. I don't imagine that he's going to have a bounce back year on any team if he were to come out of retirement and make a final roster. It's just with all the loaded talent and new young acquisitions in the rookies for the Eagles, it's a long shot for Ross to make this roster. But hey, it's still early on in the offseason. We're not even into June technically yet. A lot can happen between now and September, so we're going to follow along for it all. All right, moving on to our next topic, 94-19. So, Eagles defensive end / edge rusher Josh Sweat makes a surprising jersey number change as he approaches the end of his current contract year. He'll move from number 94 to number 19. Now, in college, when he was at FSU, he wore the number 9, which for the Eagles, as most fans probably know, has not been worn since Nick Foles in the 2017 to 2018 year, which, of course, is when we won our first Super Bowl. So my guess is that he doesn't want to end that streak by wearing the number 9, so he chose the next best thing, which I guess is 19. Now, some people are giving him shit with going with such a, let's say, like a peculiar choice for his new number. But, it's his jersey. He can do what he wants. If he wants to make that change, go ahead. Obviously, that kind of sucks for people who may have just bought a Josh Sweat jersey because now he changed, but I think there's jersey insurance for that or something. Anyway, with the recent jersey number rules and the changes that have been going on in the past couple of years, it allows for flexibility for players to regain the nostalgia of wearing their former high school or college numbers in the pros. Personally, I don't mind the switch that much. And that might be just a little bit biased because when I played football, my number was also 19. I have a couple of custom number 19 jerseys. Um, so I don't think it's that bad of a number. Some people would argue it's a whack number, but to each their own. Um, sure, some numbers with 9 in them look a little weird, like number 39, number 59. Honestly, I get it. Those look kind of weird. Um, but there are other jersey numbers with 9 in them that are pretty dope. Number 9, obviously cool. Number 29, a solid number for a defensive back. Number 49, it's all right. I think Alex Singleton rocked it well when he was with us. Our long snapper's now wearing it, so obviously we won't see much of that jersey number in like a bunch of action. But moving on, number 69. Come on now. It's obviously an awesome number. I think number 79 is cool because it was rocked by Brandon Brooks when he won the Super Bowl with us. And then the number 89 to me is like a solid, just jacked, stiff arming tight end number. And then number 99, obviously the great Jerome Brown rocked that with us, and it's retired with the Eagles. So I think number 19 can fall into that category as well. Overall, we'll see if this number or if this change in numbers does anything for Sweat. Hoping he's got a breakout year coming soon with us. With the change, who do we think is going to rock the number 94 now? A longtime veteran, a rookie, a surprise free agent signing, maybe, or no one? Let me know what you think in the comments on wherever you're watching currently right now. And a quick side note with that roster number change or jersey number change, sorry, it created a domino effect of other changes. So, for example, number 19 was worn by third string cornerback Tanner McKee. So he's going to move to number 16, who was worn by Will Greer after we signed him. And he's going to move to number 13. Josh Ross originally started the OTAs sharing the number 18 with Brayton Covey. However, with his recent signing and some roster changes, he will be wearing the number 83 right now. Wide receiver Austin Watkins, who is still on the roster at this moment, he was originally sharing number 89 with Johnny Wilson, but now it appears he is the current offensive player wearing the number 41. Some teams do this. They have players wear the same number on offense and defense. The defensive number 41 for us right now is cornerback Sean Stevens, who I talked about in a previous episode. All right, moving on. Kenny Pickett versus Jalen Hurts. Let's dive into this topic that some of y'all have been seeing on social media. If you're an active follower of a variety of different Eagles fan media on YouTube, Facebook, social media, wherever, you may have seen some posts about Kenny Pickett, quote, outperforming Jalen Hurts. Now, hopefully y'all know already, but it's just some clickbait bullshit to get people all riled up. A lot of, parody accounts do it. Some real fan accounts do it just to get, some views. Obviously, we saw Philly WIP radio saying some shit for some views. They like openly admitted that when they were talking about AJ Brown. But anyway, now that overall, because it's like some clickbait shit, that does not mean that Kenny Pickett isn't doing good so far. It's not at the level of Jalen Hurts, obviously. Otherwise, we would see Pickett be QB1, which is not the case right now. Probably won't be the case realistically. There were some consecutive plays where Pickett was looking really good. However, this is out of a very small sample size compared to the amount of reps that Hurts was getting. So they were like, Kenny Pickett had he had more reps that were better than Jalen Hurts. Okay, if you're using a small sample size, that's like saying 50% of voters want X to happen, but the sample size is only 6. That's 3 people who think, oh, this is better or whatever. Gotta love it when clickbait bullshit still gets to people. some of whom have a higher influence in social media than others, and it stirs up a rumor or a conversation that wasn't even there to begin with. But I mean, hey, it's good to hear that Pickett hasn't been doing terribly. It's always good to have that solid QB2 option for hopefully a situation where you don't need it, but better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. All right, y'all. Moving on to what I believe is my final topic for tonight. Not enough defensive tackles. Looking at the roster and the predictions for the roster, some people are saying that one of the biggest remaining needs depth wise is ironically at defensive tackle. And I say ironically because the Eagles have been no strangers to drafting DTs within the past few years, such as with Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Ojomo, Milton Williams, amongst others. And this was all within the past like 4 to 5 years. But with the retirement of Fletcher Cox, do the Eagles need more depth at the defensive tackle position? And do they go after someone like Calais Campbell or Jonathan Allen? Let's break this down real quick. Okay. So currently, the Eagles have 8 defensive tackles listed on their roster. That is Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Moro Ojomo, Marlon Tuipulotu, Gabe Hall, PJ Mustafa, and Thomas Booker IV. In the initial 53-man roster last year, we had 7 defensive tackles make the roster by the time week 1 rolled around. At this current point, I would imagine that Carter, Davis, Williams, Ojomo, and Tuipulotu would be the ones to make the initial 2024 roster. However, we're in a different defensive scheme. We're going from Sean Desai to Vic Fangio, where it was different in terms of defensive schemes. While Desai's defense had some influence from Vic Fangio, there are some differences. For example, according to CBS Sports, Fangio runs more of a 3-4 blatant front defense, which for those unfamiliar just means that on the defensive line, you have a singular nose tackle who is a defensive tackle, but they refer to as the nose tackle, and 2 defensive ends on opposite sides of the tackle, compared to what Sean Desai and even Jonathan Gannon have used in years past, which is a 4-3 lineup in which there's 2 defensive tackles and 2 defensive ends with 3 linebackers behind them. Now, obviously, we also saw more of a 5-man rush sometimes with a Sam linebacker like Hassan Reddick, especially when we were doing blitzing plays. Now, I imagine Vic Fangio will use numerous different types of coverage. However, he does emphasize the importance of linebackers. That's why he mainly uses that 3-4 blatant defense. So, if anything, I would think maybe we need more defensive ends and edge rushers versus defensive tackles. Now, right now, you have Josh Sweat, Bryce Huff, Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, Terrell Lewis, Julian Aquara, Patrick Johnson, and Taron Jackson, and Jalix Hunt, as your current edge rushers on the roster. Now, out of all of these guys, I see Sweat, Huff, Graham, Smith, Hunt, and Patrick Johnson making the week 1 roster. Now, although looking at that, I think that is a solid depth amount because we have 6 edge rushers. You only typically put 2 on the field at one time, so you get a first, second, and third team edge rusher scenario if you keep 6 on the roster. If you want to be on the safe side, you could go out and sign someone like Carl Lawson or Yannick Ngaku or Emmanuel Agba to like a 1-year deal and have someone like Patrick Johnson or Taron Jackson both on the practice squad as insurance guys. But even if they don't sign somebody, I honestly think the 6 rushers should be enough. So in all, you got 6 edge rushers and 5 defensive tackles, which I think should be enough for the specific scheme that Fangio runs. I got some comments here I'll read out. Evening, Corey. And Wade says, I feel the whole defense still needs help. I don't disagree with that. I think after last year's, defensive collapse, our defense still needs help. Obviously, I talked about Justin Simmons last week, so that is a big thing. Um, but as the offseason gets closer, we'll dive into more and see what other moves how he makes for the defense. I do have a lot more confidence in the defense this time around with Vic Fangio because that's who we originally wanted. We originally wanted Vic Fangio, and then Jonathan Gannon screwed us, so we basically had to go with Jonathan or Sean Desai because Fangio signed with Miami at that point. But anyway, back to the original topic. Um, since Vic Fangio really also values linebackers, um, and he values them higher than like Sean Desai did, I imagine we'll have more than just the 3 interior linebackers that we had on the initial roster. Obviously, we signed a couple um last year, like midseason, like we saw with Zach Cunningham, but we definitely have more on the roster right now. And I imagine with Fangio's scheme, we're going to keep a lot more on that roster for all the switch ups like we usually do with people on defense. Yes, the secondary has improved. I can't wait to see that either, Corey. All right, y'all. That's actually all the topics that I had for tonight. Thank you for those who have been commenting with your opinions on the live stream. Thank you for those who've been watching the live stream. This is my third go around with this. I'm still pretty new. Still haven't gotten that new camera yet, but don't worry, I'll get it at some point. Because on my laptop it looks great. Kind of looks grainy on some others, but anyway, um, I appreciate everyone for watching. If you would like to listen to the other 40 something episodes that I have, you can check them out by searching Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Second and 15, all one word for Twitter and Instagram, and then the podcast title for Facebook. Don't forget to also follow our network, which is Old City Sports Network. You can find them on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget to check out the website. We got merchandise on there. So don't forget we got merchandise on there and make a purchase or something like that. There's a promo code for 15% off. So don't forget that. But yeah, once again, I appreciate everyone for coming out. I'll be back again next week at 8:00. I think this will be more of a routine thing as I get better at this. Oh, a family member. Thank you. That's a nice job. But yeah. All right, everybody. That's the episode for the night. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, and we will see you next time.